Well, we're taught technique. We're taught the technical stuff. We are not taught how to communicate with customers. We as technicians, we want our customers to trust us. And so, listeners out there, do you want your clients to trust you? So how do you get them to trust you? Right now, you're giving a bunch of information so that they think that you're smart about the trade and that they will trust you. When in fact, your technical knowledge is putting them to sleep. It's working against you, not for you.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your hosts Nate and Brian are hanging out with you today, and we have a great guest joining us today. Gene Slade back in the house, and this time he actually is in the house because he is here, not over the phone, live and in person, man. And we are looking forward to talking to him about jargon, tech talk, and belief in yourself and whatever else comes up, man. It's going to be a good convo. Right, Brian?
Yeah, the episode is supposed to be about jargon and speaking overly technically and not speaking to our clients in the home as if, or I should say, at a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, which is something he's been saying over and over here in our training center this week as we brought him out to train our technicians in office support. But I think, the one thing he was saying to the text that I texted the managers was worth the price of admission alone was that so many of them probably have the belief that what they make now is what they'll always make or what they should make or deserve to make. And, he was saying to stand tall and puff your chest out. You're an HVAC tech. You're a plumber. That means something. You're somebody who knows how to, harness lightning. You're an electrician. This is a big deal, and you should be proud of that fact. So while this episode is going to be about jargon, we certainly want to touch on all those other things with him.
We'll be sure to ask about that and more, but first we're going to break it down for you, and that's why we have Brian in here to give us our quote.
If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well. Albert Einstein.
Oh, man. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Right? Talking from a guy who literally wrote the theory of relativity and beyond, whose IQ is nearly unparalleled in all of history. That is a good find.
Yeah. So, and what a simple quote.
Well done, Albert.
Who knew he uttered sentences with the longest word being 2 syllables? Not me.
That's good.
So what's he saying? Like, it is the most insecure people in every industry who use the biggest, hardest to understand, most technical words. And why is that? Because we want to sound like we know what the heck we're talking about.
Well, certainly no challenge with you, Brian.
Sounding like I know what I'm talking about?
No, using small words.
As I was a young tech, every 3 to 4 syllable word I learned, I could not wait to vomit it onto the kitchen table of some poor unsuspecting homeowner to sound more like I know what I'm talking about, not realizing that when I'm using these huge words that they don't understand, I'm not making me sound better. I'm making them feel worse. So if I make you feel like you don't understand what I'm talking about, you don't want to talk to me anymore. Now, if I'm doing a very good job of crafting what I'm saying into an analogy of something that you do understand and making you walk through it with me. And I don't have to make you understand the ion exchange process that is softening water. I have to make you understand that water that's softened feels better. It makes your appliance last longer, makes your shower doors look better, makes your hair softer. That's it. So if I can explain what something does for you as opposed to what something does, then I'm winning the battle.
Yeah, you're right about that. It really does come down to a level of security, or shall we say insecurity, that prompts you to start speaking in those terms. Yeah, I'm sure all of you in the radio land, podcast land out there, I guess, have come across somebody who started throwing around some words, and you're pretty sure they didn't know exactly what that word meant, but they keep like bringing it up or other words like that, and you're like, yeah, and if your clients, thanks, Brian, if your clients are getting
No, literally, you're putting me to sleep. Come on, step it up, buddy. Let's go.
If your clients are getting that same type of reaction, or you're seeing that, and you thinking you're waxing eloquent on capacitors or ionizers, I don't know,
Angle stops.
Oh yeah, angle stops.
T&P valves.
Man,
So technical.
I got all these letters. I just don't know what to do with them.
British thermal units. Ha
Come on, B. You don't even know what that is. British thermal unit. Oh, BTU. Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, we really got to be careful about that, because the only person that we are appeasing in that conversation is ourselves. And guess what? Nobody else cares. And really, your paycheck doesn't care either.
Right. That is a direct David Sandler of Sandler Training quote, which is the thing he always said that stuck out the most to me was, don't be in there to get your needs met.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out before you knock on that door, when am I going to get my needs met? Is it when Joe and Sally open this door, or is it next Friday? I had to determine at some point, like everyone who's in a truck either will determine at some point or won't, that I'm going to get my needs met every other Friday. In terms of what I'm doing here, my job, my work, knocking on this door, going to talk to this customer. For me, it's speaking and dealing with technicians and office staff. Am I going to get my ego fed by this conversation? If I'm getting into a heated exchange with a tech over something maybe they did or didn't do, and they're pushing back, and is this where I get my needs met for my ego and crush them and send them out to either look for another job or go do a very poor job on their next two calls? Or am I going to take it on the chin and get my needs met next Friday and build this technician up and send this technician out in the best way possible to go out and make a great income for his family, or at the very worst, just go out and serve in a high capacity these people that pay us to come to their home. So getting your needs met in the home is a bad idea. And when you're using terminology that makes you feel smarter, but costs you a sale, a customer, at least the rapport you've built with that person, you're getting your needs met at the cost of the person you're interacting with. So decide that you want to get your needs met every other Friday, your paycheck. And right now is time for these customers to get their needs met by way of you speaking to them at a 3rd to 5th grade reading level, as Mr. Gene Slade, the lead ninja himself, says.
It really is kind of silly, Brian, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is communicate. I don't care if you consider yourself a strong communicator or not. Communication is part of what we do. You have to be able to communicate to the person across from you at the other side of the table what exactly it is that's either wrong with their system or missing from their system or in danger or any of these things. You have to be able to communicate that. If you cannot do that, all the technical skills in the world don't matter. If you can't explain to a client that the breaker in their house is rusted, and the reason that it's rusted is because there's water present, and that causes all these safety concerns up to and including burning your house down. If you cannot communicate that, your ability to change out that breaker or change out that panel means nothing. Why? Because the client has no idea what you're talking about. They don't understand that there's even a problem. And even if they did, they don't understand the extent of it. So you want a challenge? My challenge to you is go home, write down a 30-second script about why you need to replace part X, and that, for whatever trade that is, write down that part and stop using more than 3-syllable words. You want to do it in a really big challenge? Write it down in 2-syllable words. Nothing more. Write that script out. All right? From start of conversation to end of conversation, how you would explain to somebody why they need to replace an inducer motor Inducer. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're gonna have to work that out.
yeah, well, okay, fine. So change it. They don't know what an inducer motor is, anyways. Nor that's the point. That's the very point, right? I don't know what inducer means. Is that a thing? Is that an action? Like, what is that? So if they don't know that, then take it out or change it up. Change it to something that they would understand and try to get it down to 2 and 3 syllable words and then express it to them. I was just looking at a manual here, Brian, and just looking at something, a universal heat pump defrost control manual, and it's explaining brownout protection. De-energizes compressor when control voltage drops below 15.5 VAC for more than 4 seconds and resumes operation at 17.5 VAC, selectable on or off. Exactly. But some of you out there are actually saying that stuff to the client. Okay? They don't care. They don't understand. What they do understand is that every once in a while, their system stops working for inexplicable reasons. Can you fix that? You can? Let's do it. Right? That's what it comes down to. You're not trying to explain to them the details as to why it doesn't work. You're trying to explain to them the details as to how you can make it work better or how you can stop it from not working.
Yeah, I know I'm going to get made fun of because I don't know if you were talking about the heating or cooling side of the system. I have no idea what you just explained.
Well,
I need to know is this will make your unit keep heating, or this will make your unit keep cooling. Sorry, your system keep heating or keep cooling. And that is literally all I need to know.
To be fair, I found it in a folder labeled HVAC, so I knew what it was.
So it could be either. It could even be part of the ventilation. I don't know.
Well, we're just revealing all kinds of secrets. This time on Waste No Day, Brian and Nate reveal that they know nothing about the trades.
Nothing's a stretch. I did know what BTU stands for.
That's true. And that could be more than most people, definitely the electricians. But moving on. So what we're trying to communicate here and what the emphasis of this podcast really is focusing on is make it easy. Dare I say, keep it simple, stupid, right? And I'm not insulting clients and I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying if we can get things down to the most basic of communication levels, that as our friend Gene Slade expresses, on a 3rd to 5th grade level, if you can explain what you're doing to the system, if you can explain how it's going to impact the client in a way that they understand and it means something to them, now we're on the same page. That and more is what we're going to be covering in today's podcast. Let's bring on our friend and trainer, Gene Slade. All right, our guest today is Gene Slade. We're putting him in your passenger seat, and hold on, it's going to be a good one, so buckle up. Gene Slade is the owner, operator, and trainer extraordinaire of the Lead Ninja system. As a primary trainer, he gained his experience in the field over decades of not only operating and working in a business, but also owning one to eventually move his way into the training scene. Gene uses his ability to produce indoor air quality, water treatment, and many other types of sales and promotes that type of system throughout the country. He is no stranger to the show, and this time we actually have him in person, Brian.
Finally.
Got
Gene in studio.
Gene is
the lead
in the
ninja.
house.
Cost you a lot of money to get this in-person interview, didn't it?
This interview we're not actually paying for. We just said, let's get him in here so we can squeeze back a little bit of that money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's what are we, day 3 now of day 4?
3 of 4. Yeah.
Black belt sales training.
75%
Ninja University.
in. I can't tell you how many guys said on the way out. I said, day 3 down. What do you think, guys? And they're like, tomorrow's it.
Oh no.
I think we would have some heads exploding if we tried to go too many more days. There's a lot to unpack.
It's funny how exhausted they look on the way out.
Yeah, you should see me when I finally get out the parking lot. I take the mask off.
I saw you asleep in the driver's seat out there in the lot earlier.
Yeah, those 10-minute breaks, they help, right? Power nap.
Awesome. Well, Gene, it is a pleasure to have you in the studio and training with us this week.
Thanks, Nate.
All of our technicians, plumbers, and electricians are in the service field are in training 4 days in a row from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m.
And then running calls.
And then running calls to apply it.
Yeah.
So appreciate all those of you who are working for us this week. I know it's rough. We're all trying to hang in there with the early mornings. And Gene, thanks for waking up early and making it happen.
Yeah, I would say my pleasure, but I'm really tired right now. I'm used to working until at least midnight because there's clients on the California coast.
Right.
And yeah, it's something I had 2 leads last night and both wanted to talk business. I said, I really love to do that. I got to get up in 4 hours. So can we talk about it tomorrow?
Yeah, that's rough. Well, it has been a fantastic couple of days here of training, and we're looking forward to the conclusion tomorrow. But we wanted to bring you in on a podcast to actually not only continue what you've been training on, but to benefit the rest of our listeners as well. And we were hoping to talk about the subject of jargon. We'll define that as tech speak.
Okay. Give me some technical jargon. Let's give some examples.
IAQ.
IAQ. Do you think clients know what that means?
Reverse osmosis.
I've talked to HVAC technicians that had never heard the term IAQ.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, haven't you?
Well, I hadn't heard it until I did, but I'm a plumber.
Yeah.
See, and that's the point, right? So like,
yeah,
even within the trade itself, we throw around terms and abbreviations and acronyms and things like that. So seamlessly.
SEER, AFUE, the flux capacitor.
Like carbon system in plumbing, which I had not used previous to being here, but I heard it all the time when I got here, which is like, I'm not saying our customers are dumb. I don't even know why you think that, Gene, because I would never say that first off. But you think carbon, what do you immediately think of? Especially in this day and age, you think of your footprint, carbon footprint. I don't want a machine that gives me a carbon footprint.
Sure.
Or on the other hand, it's just something that is easy to shop. It's easy to find a 18-inch carbon filter from Lowe's that you can put in yourself for $8 or whatever. It's just, so we say whole home water filtration.
Right.
Home, not house.
Yeah, toxin and chemical eliminator.
Eliminator.
Something that says what it does as opposed to what the industry term is, so that A, we don't get shopped, and B, we don't confuse our clients, right? Because our clients make everything we say mean something. And if we don't tell them what it means, they come to their own conclusion that's not necessarily in their best interest or the company's best interest or our best interest. So we confuse people a lot, don't we?
Sure do.
I think we confuse ourselves a lot.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time this really occurred to me that I was doing this as a salesperson. I think I was in my 3rd year as a salesperson, and I was generating over $1 million a year in revenue at the time. I think this is 2003, 2004. And I bought a new house, and I needed something to take care of the chlorine and the hardness that was in the water, because the city water was terrible and it was making my skin dry. It was just not good. And so I had a guy from Connecticut come out, and I was super excited to talk to him because I'd heard that it was actually the best system that was on the market. And I don't know about you guys, but I like the best.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't? If you could afford it, why would you not have the best? So this guy comes out and he opens this yellowed sheet of newspaper sitting at this glass dining room table that I had. And he began to talk about his resin. Well, when he said resin, I took a day trip. Like, have you ever been sitting there with a client that was talking at you too much, and maybe they're 60, 70, 80 years old. They're one of the people that has lost somebody. Maybe they're lonely and they just talk. And you're sitting there shaking your head being agreeable, but you're not listening. And then 4, 5, 6 minutes later, everything gets crystal clear and you actually hear what they're saying again. But before that, it was kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Wah.
Yeah. Wah, 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 wah. Well, this is what happened to me when this guy said resin. I went, resin. What the heck is resin? What the heck is resin? And I started theorizing or predicting what he was talking about. And 3-4 minutes later, he came back clear again. Everything went from blurry to clear, and I could hear him talking again. And I went, oh my gosh, this is what I've been doing to my clients. I've been talking about SEER and AFUE and the flux capacitor, and they're like deer in the headlights.
Right.
And that was when I realized I needed to stop doing that. I had to start calling things what they did so that the client could understand, or I had to make sure they understand what things meant, because otherwise they're going to come to their own conclusion. We're meaning-making machines. I learned that from a company on the east coast of Florida. I spent a lot of time with them. We are meaning-making machines. Everything that happens to us, everything that occurs around us, we interpret it and we make it mean something. And your clients do the same thing too. So if you, for instance, if you say to them, you give them a benefit of, what's one of the benefits of doing business with 1 hour Benjamin Franklin, Mr. Sparky?
24/7 service.
Okay, great. 24-hour a day, 7-day a week service, or live operator. It's an employee of the company that answers the phone. That's a feature, but what's the benefit, right? That's where we kind of mess up a lot of times. The client has to determine the benefit on their own. Why don't we say we provide service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and a live operator that's employee of the company? That way, you know that you're not going to have to wait in the unlikely event that your system goes down. That we prioritize warranty calls as a feature, but we don't tell them what it means. We should say most companies run warranty calls 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and you got to wait if you're not in those hours. With 1 hour Benjamin Franklin, Mr. Sparky, you get a speed pass to the front of the line when you're a customer, and you get, if you got a warranty, you get service right away. Right? So that's what it means, but we don't say what it means to the clients. They're left to determine their own meaning.
Ooh, what is the Disney one? Is what, the Fast Pass?
Yeah.
Fast Pass. Yeah.
Fast Pass, Speed Pass, whatever it is. People love that thing, right? Have you ever been to a park and went, gosh, the line's 2 hours. I wish I had one of them there passes.
Yeah.
That new Frozen ride at Disney World. I don't know.
I don't know anything about Frozen, bro.
Oh, that's right. You got 6 boys.
Six boys.
Let
I got
it
3
go.
girls. So yeah, it was a 2-minute ride for 2.5 hours of standing. 88 sunny, humid.
Yeah, and you're watching the Fast Pass people walk by you.
Yeah.
There is 1 month in Florida that I will go to an amusement park. That's February.
All right.
Forget it. I mean, everybody, it's so busy as it is, but then you get that heat.
Yeah, you know how hard it is to find a family of 6 walking by to beat up and take their fast passes? It's always a family of 2 or 5 or 3. It's like impossible.
Yeah, you have to beat up 2 families to get your kids through, right?
So as far as jargon's concerned, like we should switch out some names. So for instance, capacitor.
Well, we have some.
What should we call it?
What should we call the capacitor?
I
do like when you say the flux capacitor. I just think, great Scott.
Your flux capacitor is out.
Like, hey, listen, your unit just busted a cap. Is that on the right direction? No?
I don't think so.
Busted a cap.
But it's funny. It's funny. So we would call a capacitor a torque booster, right? Or we would call it a battery cap or something like that, because it's kind of like a battery. It stores energy. And customers seem to really, they kind of dig that. They don't ask what that is. They don't go to Amazon and go, capacitor, this is only $30, right? You're charging me $300. Why? Like, that opens up a can of worms we don't want to be in the middle of, because most of us can't explain the 90 or 100 or 120 different things that the company has to pay for in order to stay afloat. So we want to try to stay away from stuff that they can shop.
So what do you think it is about being a technician, a plumber, an electrician, being in the trades that makes you just naturally lean towards talking in those terms, the ones that you would find in the manuals and
Sure.
in the trade books?
Well, we're taught technique. We're taught the technical stuff. We are not taught how to communicate with customers. So most of these technicians, they get taught by technical people. The UV light manufacturer will send in a manufacturer's rep, and he will talk about all the technical stuff, but not what to say to get the client to actually want it. And so we as technicians, we want our customers to trust us, correct? And so listeners out there, do you want your clients to trust you? So how do you get them to trust you? Right now, you're giving a bunch of information so that they think that you're smart about the trade, and that they will trust you, when in fact, your technical knowledge is putting them to sleep. It's working against you, not for you.
And it's no different than the UV light rep who comes to the shop, and no offense to you guys, but never installed one, didn't have anything to do with designing it. They know relatively
Yeah, they tell
very
you it's got a
little about
268 nanometer wavelength of light that penetrates the cell wall
Yeah.
of microorganism, renders it in, whatever.
Sounds awesome.
I don't
Let's
know.
go sell one.
Yeah. They don't teach the client they don't teach you how to get the client to want it. You have got to uncover something that's going on in that person's household in order to get them to want out of the situation that they're in.
Yeah. All right. So what about an example in plumbing? Like, what is a common jargon term in plumbing? I'll ask you, Brian.
Relief valve,
Relief valve.
angle stops, carbon system, softener.
So angle stop.
So if we put those through the Gene Slade machine over here, right?
Right.
Spits out on the other end.
So angle stop. We talked about this morning. You guys are calling it an ESO. What's an ESO?
Emergency shutoff.
Yeah. Right, but when they're saying that ESO to me, I don't even know what it is, and I know how to sell plumbing.
Yeah, and we say it to each other in here, but we have to know that as soon as somebody, it's like saying things like my spiel or my pitch.
Well, you're wiring yourself to call it that.
To go out there and say it in front of the homeowner. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what is EOS? And they're like, or ESO. They're like, it's an
We
emergency.
actually did a podcast on EOS, so we're familiar
Okay.
with that. ESO,
What the
go
heck
ahead.
is EOS? The book there it is.
So it's an emergency. It's an emergency shutoff. Why not call it what it is? What's another term? I mean, I think plumbing is better at doing this than HVAC. Like,
Well, a softener,
pressure reducing valve.
Yeah,
that says what it is.
softener does soften the water. My
Yeah.
issue with some of it, and I'll still call it jargon, is just because it's such an industry standard name. It's really easy to shop. And then when you shop, we have the creme de la creme Brita Pro water softener here that also removes all the chlorine and byproducts and chloramines. You go to Home Depot and just say, I want a softener. They give you the $300 water boss piece of crap that does nothing like what ours does.
Sure.
And it's, what, 20% of what ours costs?
Yeah. So for the carbon system, like I would call it, or have called it in the past, toxin and chemical eliminator, right? As opposed to a carbon filter. That way they're not going to be able to shop it. On the softeners, we didn't call them a softener. We would call it a super soft water system,
Okay. Yeah, we say whole home water conditioning system for the
There you go.
softener, whole home water filtration system. For
I wish we could come up with something better than conditioning, because that's like 9th to 10th grade reading level, isn't it?
conditioning.
How many syllables? Conditioning.
All right,
It's 4
it's
syllables.
2 syllables.
Like, what could we come up with that was even better than that? We could make history right now.
Soft hair. the whole home soft.
Well,
hair
what does
machine.
it do? What does it do? It saves our appliances, or it saves our faucets and our fixtures. We could call it a whole home plumbing saver.
Well, it does different things depending on who you're talking to.
Sure.
So we're fortunate enough to have Brittany in here, Gene's fiance, and also to have Maverick in here, Gene and Brittany's youngest son.
Maverick.
He's sleeping over here, but we're going to give him a little shake to get him on the show before it's all said and done.
He's drunk.
Yeah, you do that, and he's yours.
He's been going since the flight, huh? So we're what I was thinking was, depending on who you're speaking to, a water softener, if you will, does different things. So
Sure.
if I'm talking to Gene, a water softener is going to save Gene a lot of money on appliance repairs and replacement.
All my faucets, all my fixtures.
Correct. But if
Right,
I'm
yeah.
talking to Brittany, this water treatment system is going to give you clear glass shower doors and soft hair and
Soft skin.
soft skin, make soft towels, soft clothes, make the product that you may or may not use in your hair last longer, make those treatments last longer.
I got
Possibly
one.
save you time putting on lotions and stuff, because sometimes you don't even have to use lotions anymore.
I just saw this online. Hairapist machine.
Say what?
Hairapist machine.
Therapist.
Yeah, like therapist for
Uh-huh.
your hair. Hairapist. I don't know. Got to work it in.
Holy
Get back to
moly.
Google, Nate.
I got to pull up my pant legs. It's getting deep in here.
Well, some might say, Gene, that, this is semantics, right? We're
Sure.
just exchanging words for other words. It's no longer
Sure.
a secretary; it's an administrative assistant. It's no longer a janitor; it's a custodian,
Sure.
or a cleaning professional. Like,
Sure.
is that what we're doing here?
Well, those are titles to make people feel better, right? What I'm trying to do is help the client to easily understand what it means. Otherwise, we create confusion, correct? And a confused mind always says, what, guys?
No.
So
At best case scenario, I'm not sure. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to think about it, right? So we want to keep from creating confusion. And we want to use the least number of words possible to communicate our message. Have you guys ever talked your way out of a sale?
I mean, not
Have
today.
you ever
but-
said too much?
Oh,
Certainly talk my way out of plenty of things.
Yeah.
Not always
Probably a
good.
few dates, eh? But no, I've talked my way out of more sales than I can count. And so I want to use the least number of words possible to communicate my message. And if I call it something that self-describes it for the client, there's less description involved, right? For instance, when we were working today and we were talking about all the negative side effects of breathing in allergens, mold, stuff like that, we're role-playing with the guys. And we say, would you like to know what our clients have us do when we run into this situation? And they're like, yeah. And all we say is they have us install a Breathe Easy package. Afterwards, they tell us that when you get home from a long, hard day at work and you walk through that door, they hit you in the face. Beautiful. Well, then we start sharing the benefits, right? But it was a Breathe Easy package. It was perfectly described what was going to happen, right? So that's just one example of what we're talking about here. You want to call it semantics, then that's fine. But I know salespeople all over the country whose wallets would beg to differ.
That's not semantics. That's cash.
Yeah, we're
I know,
talking cash.
I've seen enough times, and I've been out of truck for a while, but I can specifically remember times where I was explaining this product I was so passionate about and watched the gloss shear over somebody's eyes and realized, well, I just lost them.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
gone.
My dad did that one time, and the lady was like a deer in the headlights, and he stopped, and he goes, I have completely lost you, haven't I? And she says, yeah, I think I'd like you to leave. And he goes, may I please have just 5 minutes to try to clear this up for you? She goes, you got exactly 5 minutes.
It was your mom.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Did he
So
get it?
busted.
Did he get the sale?
No, he didn't. He lost it
Yeah.
because he talked too much. She was done. She was done listening to him. She was just being polite, giving him his 5 minutes because we're wired for cooperation.
Yeah,
It's painful to not cooperate.
So can I push back on you?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's say I went to the doctor and the surgeon, we'll say, and the surgeon's like, we're going to have to operate here. And he sits me down for the consultation. He's like, all right, so Nate, here's how it's going to go. We're going to take this skin splitter over here and we're going to start slicing and dicing. And then we're going to take this rib spreader and insert it into your torso, crank on this, bone crushing device here. And then I'm going to take these other specialized tools and go to town. Does it come, do we start treading in dangerous waters there where we start to oversimplify things that people and like take away the seriousness of it?
Well, I think in the medical profession, that's one heck of a example. Let's just say that.
I'm just imagining my urologist going into such detail.
Yeah, first, for that example purposes, I would the first thing I was thinking was, well, they're not going to buy a rib spreader on Amazon, right? So I think we're safe there. But no, I think that just scared the hell out of me. Right? I don't want the doctor to explain everything he's going to do. I just want to know I'm going to be okay, which goes back to my point of saying less. We just want to know that we're going to be okay. We want to know that we're safe. The clients don't want to learn. They don't want a 10-point thesis on, HVAC, plumbing, or electrical. They just want to know, A, I got a problem. How is it affecting me? Is there a solution? Do other people do this too and turn out okay? They want to be safe. And can I afford it? Do I trust you? Fast talkers, people that talk too much, do you trust them?
Not typically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a rule, stereotypically, the fast talkers, the people that talk too much, You tune them out. Like, it's even hard to develop a relationship with somebody that doesn't listen, isn't it?
No, absolutely. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
It can be a one-sided relationship at best.
Yeah.
So which part are you saying in that equation the technician is supposed to be?
What do you mean? Help me out.
You're saying it's hard to develop a relationship if nobody's listening.
Right. I mean,
are you saying the technician's not listening or the client?
Well, I think that we as technicians don't listen because we're so concerned about what we're going to say next. Like if I give the average technician that's out there, if I say to you, your price is too high, do you have a already written response? Do you know what to say after that? And what is the objection when they say your price is too high? Is it that it's more than their budget? Is it that their neighbor got one cheaper? Is it that they bought one cheaper 2 years ago? What is the issue? Right? So we've got to learn to listen. Shut up and listen. Ask a question, shut up and listen. Your clients will tell you exactly what you need to say in order to close them.
So, Gene, we have a wide variety of people that listen to the show. You know, we have the strong communicators who they're nodding their heads right now. And they're like, oh, man, this is awesome stuff. And then we have the technical people who are like, but I need numbers to explain what I need to go over. Like I need PPMs and CFMs and everything else. Like otherwise I can't express the science.
Right. I get that person and I feel that way, but I touched that stove so many times trying to give people all the technical data and put them asleep. I mean, maybe 25% of the people out there that you're going to run into are going to be people that are even going to want to know that stuff.
Way less.
You know, maybe if you were lucky, those are the high C's on the disc profile. You know, I don't want to know.
Mr. Minnick.
Yeah,
right over here.
Hey,
like, I really don't want to know all that. I'm a driver, I'm a high D, and so I make very fast decisions with very little amounts of information, and I'm confident in my decision-making ability. And I figure worst case scenario, like for instance, if I spend $35,000 on a program like I just did, I know that I can go in there and get one nugget that is going to make me 10x that money back. Right? It's we're just not taught how to communicate. We're taught how to fix stuff. And most guys got in this industry because they wanted to fix stuff. And then they get hired on finally to a decent company and they realize, oh my gosh, this is a sales position. I'm not just turning wrenches here. I don't think we prepare technicians well enough and we don't train them well enough, and it's not their fault. The people that need all that technical stuff is just because you haven't spent enough time developing or mastering the communication side of the business like you did with your tools. Like, how long did it take you to become the plumber or the HVAC tech or the electrical technician that you are today? To gain the competence that you have gained, how long did it take? Brian, how long did it take for you to get really technically competent as a plumber?
I mean, some would argue I never did, but certainly, I
the
mean,
entire plumbing team has it.
Well, my first
better part of a decade.
Yeah, my first service call that I ever ran was for my own company. No joke.
Wow,
that's confidence.
I had sold systems. I had done some tune-ups and stuff like that, but I'd never run a service call.
Yeah, it's easy to see in the technical world and the mechanical world. Like, I go to rebuild a Moen kitchen faucet this morning, and it takes me 2.5 hours, and I'm like, well, that's not going to work because I don't get, it's not worthwhile to do that. So then I go back to the shop or home or what have you, find a Moen faucet that I can rip apart, put back together until I'm good at it. Now I excel at changing out Moen cartridges. Excuse me. However, in the soft skills world or the communication world, you can't tangibly see that I just obliterated this first meeting with Brittany here, and she'll never want to speak to me again. Certainly not have me put this water treatment system in. I can't see it.
Right.
I may know it if I'm a little higher on the IQ.
Feel it.
But your high C's, your engineer types, they probably don't even know it happened. So it's tough for us to even know that we need help in this area. So it's why it's so important to seek out, in my opinion, and I'm somebody who always did, In my day, it was Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy and guys like that, Zig Ziglar. In this day, it's guys like yourself and others. It's important to seek out somebody who is your crystal ball, for lack of a better phrase. It's somebody
that can handle every single objection that comes their way that you can learn from.
Somebody who was in your position 15, 20 years ago and knows the roadmap to get to where they're at now. So you hit the fast forward button because you're going to answer a bunch of questions you don't even know to ask.
That's a great way to put it. You hit the fast forward button.
That's what a mentor is. That's what a coach is, in my opinion.
Yeah, they accelerate time.
Right.
It's like plaid speed in a Tesla. Or Spaceballs.
Well, you said it. You said it yesterday. You're going to pay a price to get good. Some people are going to pay that price in time, and some people are going to pay that price in money.
Right.
And which one is more important to you?
Money replenishes. You'll get another paycheck next week. If you spend your whole paycheck, you're going to get another paycheck next week. But that week, you can't get it back.
That's so powerful.
Not 1 minute of that week can you replenish.
Money replenishes, but time doesn't. So why are you wasting time? Why are you not taking your career seriously? Why are you listening to Led Zeppelin or Britney Spears or Bruno Mars on the radio when you're driving around in your truck? Why are you not doing Windshield University or Drive Time University like you guys say?
MVU,
right?
Getting your degree from My
Vehicle University. You can literally get an associate's degree in 1 year in the amount of time that you have behind your windshield right now, guys, at 2 hours a day. So why are you not taking and trading your time for things that will allow you to buy time? Your windshield time is so valuable. You could retire 10 years early if you just take that time and do something with it. Or do you want to waste it listening to music or the Joe Rogan podcast?
Not here on the Waste No Day podcast, obviously.
No way, Jose. This is the type of stuff you want to be listening to.
You said Joe Rogan. You can't get him on here, can you? Sorry.
You know, guy?
Maybe.
Right, exactly. And that one's tough because it is so entertaining, and you do come away from especially that one feeling like you know more than you did.
I mean, when you can watch Joe Rogan and Elon Musk smoke a joint together, are you kidding me?
That's memorable.
That was hilarious. He got in a lot of trouble for that, didn't he?
Yeah, his stock crashed that next morning.
But now it's back.
It went back.
Yeah.
I don't know who bet against Elon, but...
Yeah, they came to him in the boardroom and said, Elon, what do you do? He's just relax, guys.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Here, smoke this.
We've got the plaid. It's coming out.
Yeah, so I was one in my... the MVU thing came from a sticky note that I kept on my dashboard starting in like 2004, where I put a yellow sticky note on my dashboard and wrote M.V.U.
I love that.
And it was to remind me that when I'm in this truck, I don't get to listen to stand-up comedy, which was my thing.
Yeah.
Music or sports radio. Jim Rome was a big one I liked to listen to back then. When I'm in this truck, I'm trying to get my degree.
Yeah.
And what do you get a degree for? You don't get a degree so you can be the smartest person or more educated. You get your degree so that you can go make more money.
And to be more secure.
The idea was...
something that nobody can take away from you. Mm-hmm. Like that's one of my biggest things about the communication side. When these guys learn this stuff, it's like riding a bike. Nobody will ever be able to take it away from you. All you got to do is put in the work up front and then a little maintenance. Spend 15, 20 minutes a day keeping up on it. But if you'll trade that 2 or 3 hours a day for a few years, I know it sounds like a long time, but in the big picture of life, it's not much time at all, is it?
Kind of sounds like the life cycle of an HVAC unit.
Yeah.
Put that money in up front and then a little maintenance.
Absolutely. I'm telling you guys, you will thank us for it. So turn off the radio, turn off the artists. They want to make you feel something, but they don't care what it is that you're feeling. And is it a good idea for you to be like all rock and roll right before you go into call? Or all sad from some song that made you think about something that was in your past?
Or all angry because you listened to the news?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the worst. The worst thing to listen to is talk radio. The absolute worst. And I market on those stations, right?
So do we.
But I'm telling you, it'll just absolutely infuriate you. It'll depress you. I can't do it. I don't know about you guys. I had a mentor of mine back in 2008 when I first started my company, And I was getting a little bit depressed. He goes, "You're listening to talk radio, aren't you, during the day?" Because he and I we both had radio shows on that station. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Bro, shut it off. We use it. We don't get used by it.
Mm-hmm.
We use it. We don't get used by it."
Yeah, that's good. So, Gene, speaking of improving your career and kind of bringing it back in context to Jargon, a lot of our listeners have, we'll say, 5, 7, 10 years of habits.
Yeah, dendrites.
Right. Yeah, explain that for us.
So there's thoughts, right? What's a thought? What's a thought?
An electrical impulse in the brain.
That's it, right? So it looks like a little lightning bolt, electrical impulse in the brain. You think a thought, any thought, I'm stupid, boom, little electrical bolt fires off in the brain. Think it again and again and again and again and again, because we typically do. We focus on the stuff that hurts, right? And eventually it becomes a neural pathway and it becomes a belief. It's a physical part of you. So tie that into what we were just talking about.
So I have been calling things in my trade by acronyms and trade talk and manual terms. I'm a walking Webster's over here.
Sure.
About HVAC stuff for 5 years.
And it's so hard for me to not say something that I've learned.
I've said the same thing 4 times a day for the last 5 years.
Toughen up, Buttercup. Come on, really? Seriously, you're gonna stop learning? If a new system comes out that you have to work on, are you not gonna learn about it?
No, we're all in.
Yeah, you have to. You ain't got a choice. Otherwise, you're going to be replaced. So you can learn to have better handwriting. You can learn to speak better. You can learn to be a better person. You can learn to transform your mind. That's one of the most amazing things about dendrites and thoughts and all this other stuff is if we choose our thoughts, and we can, you know that feeling in your gut that you get when you think something bad? That's a warning sign. That's from the Creator. He says, hey, warning, warning, you're thinking the wrong thoughts. Switch your thoughts. You switch your thoughts, you switch your feelings.
So what's a practical exercise for somebody who's like, Gene, I got a lot of habits here.
Okay.
How can I start to rewrite that?
Before we get there,
go ahead.
Actually, because I was just looking this up with my kid after you said the dendrite thing. Was that yesterday or Tuesday? That was Tuesday.
Who knows?
Yeah. When you said
it's
that,
all a blur, man. I came from an event to this one with no sleep. So.
Well, I immediately, what I usually do, just start looking it up. And I'm like, come on. It starts building tissue and like muscle or whatever in your brain. And I looked it up and it's like this biology website. And I sent it to my wife and said, let's have a conversation about it tonight. And my oldest and I were actually reading about it. And it's pretty profound. I mean,
it's amazing.
It literally blew our
mind. The human body is incredible. What God created is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to understand how the eye works, but we'll get into that another podcast. But according to studies and research, the more we practice, the size of the dendrites in our brain grow thicker with a fatty coat of myelin, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the thicker the dendrite, the faster will be the signals traveling. With enough practice, the dendrites build a double connection. The faster, stronger, and dual connections of dendrites last for a longer time, i.e., we remember what we learned. Thus, dendrites grow only when we are actively practicing, repeating, or doing something repeatedly.
You stop, you lose it. You don't use it, you lose it.
Right. But on the flip side and on the more positive side, if you stop, you can lose it. So if you have a bunch of negative things in your mind keeping you from being what you want to be or going where you want to go, knock it off.
Yeah, let's format it. Let's go over top of it. Let's rewrite the disc, right? Let's speak what we want, not what we don't have. And the good news is that we can measure the power of a thought. And the power of a positive thought is much stronger than the power of a negative thought, so we can burn those dendrites faster, believe it or not. But the biggest thing here is to not speak that negativity. It's one thing to think it. It's created. You can't control it, right? The mind is creative. So we can't control the thoughts that come into our mind, but we can control what we focus on. So we've got to have triggers that will shift us. Like, for instance, if I want to get out of a horrible mood, I have a trigger. I think about Maverick smiling at me, right? Those first smiles. and that'll pull me out of that negative thought process. So we can measure the power of a thought. Power of a positive thought is stronger. Don't feed the negative ones, only feed the positive ones, and you can rewrite your hard drive. You can reformat that disk.
So I was fortunate enough, and I want to thank him on the first episode since, but yesterday I was on the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Gil Cavey. That was a good time for me. My first video podcast.
I love Gil.
And we were talking about
Also Brian's last video podcast, as it turns out.
I was saying on here, like, my palms are all sweaty. I haven't been this nervous since the first time I trained a group of techs.
Just vomit on your
Just jump on a Facebook Live right now. It'll you have the same reaction.
So we were talking about those poor HVAC, mostly service techs, but you get them in plumbing and electrical too, where they say over and over and over again, I'm not a salesman. I'm just here to fix stuff.
Whether
I'm
you
not
think
a salesman.
you are or
I'm
aren't,
not a
you're
salesman.
right.
People don't buy from me. I'm not a salesman. And it's just like building these dendrites.
Yeah.
Probably the size of your thumb through their brain at this point.
And it must be that way if you say so.
It has to now. Yeah, absolutely.
It must be that way.
And on top of that, it's what Wally says, if public declarations dictate future actions. Now they've promised you that they're never going to sell anything. So if they do, they're going back on their word. It's like you couldn't be a worse proposition for a person in a service truck.
All of this is our minds. We're all messed up in the head, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're told no, 30,000 times by the time we're 5 years old. It's no wonder people stop chasing their dreams.
I feel like you can triple that for Nate's kids.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
As much as he tells me no around here.
No.
He holds those office purse strings pretty tight.
Well, he just says no 3 times at the same time. No.
Yeah, well, I have 4 kids, so it's usually 4, but yeah.
Yeah.
We could keep
No.
down the line.
I just cuss at mine. No.
I use the bottom of my shoe, but hey, to each his own.
Flip-flop. Throw a flip-flop at him.
Well, Gene, speaking of rewriting the disc, I think that's a good place to jump in. So I'm a technician. I have 5 years of habits of saying the exact same thing over and over again. I've used the technical manuals to literally lay it on the table in front of the client and walk them through, $65 words with 10 syllables and everything else. How am I supposed to work my way out of that? Is there an exercise? Can I, start writing down some words and do it that way?
You need to find somebody who's already climbed to the top of a tree and had all the soldiers cut down the trees and form the road. Like you don't want to beat a path through those forests yourself. You want to find somebody who's already successful, who's already got it mapped out for you as word for word as possible with proven results, and just start studying that. I mean, you study manuals to learn how to do HVAC or plumbing or electrical or pest control or restoration or whatever it is that you do. Just start studying again. But you got to find somebody who's got a proven track record of success. Now, don't pick somebody cheap. All right, you're gonna spin your wheels. You got to and double check. Make sure that there are results. Make sure that there are a crap ton of reviews, that people are actually saying good stuff about them. But you got to find a mentor. And here's the thing. Here's what I learned. Here's what one of my mentors is Grant Cardone, and one of the things Grant taught me was that you want to go deep on one person. You look at all the books up there. Now, I love you and everything, but out of all those people that wrote all those books, how many of them have you read everything that they ever wrote?
Well, this is Brian. So Brian's only read about 3 books in his life.
Oh, so those are like my books at home. They're placeholders.
It's actually
my ears.
there.
My
It's
ears are
decoration.
prolific readers, but
Yeah.
I'm
Those are
about
actually
4th
just
grade.
book covers.
So
that we printed out.
Chris Voss would be the only one that
Oh,
would
I
split
love
the
Chris
difference,
Voss.
and it's because he only wrote one book.
Yeah. So like most of us, like are like the people that listen to the podcast and stuff, were like serial information chasers, right?
Right.
And so you get all this information from all these different people, and you get like confused about what to do. Why not find somebody, like if you want to study somebody, for instance, let's say we could study Walt Disney. You want to read one book, or do you want to read about his entire life and figure out the trajectory and how he became the person that he became, we really need to go deep on one or two people instead of going wide. And so that's what I'm actually doing with Grant right now. I'm going deep on everything that he's got. Even became a licensee, a 10X mentor, coach, and speaker. I think I've spent $120,000 with him, in the last 6 months?
Or less.
6 months or less. But I'm buying all the stuff. I'm downloading it all into my brain. The dude's a billionaire. Why would I want to not know everything about that dude? Why would I study somebody? Why would I study 20 guys that have made 10 million instead of go deep on Grant, right? Or Gary V, or whoever it is that is in a similar area that you're in. Go deep on one person. Get focused. Go all the way down.
Gene Slade.
Yeah,
You're here.
100%. Like I study everything that I'll put out there for you. And good luck catching up with me because there's several years worth of content, video content already. So, I mean, it's going to take you some time. But go deep on one person. I don't care who it is. Wally, like we were talking about.
Well
Just,
long.
yeah. Just study everything that they put out until you've gone through it. And then do it again and again and again and again. Grant says, watch this video 10 times because on the 10th time, you're going to learn more than the first 9 put together.
I wish my mentor had heard that part when he made me listen to that tape 100 times.
Yeah.
1
Right?
hour tape.
Frequency before greatness. Frequency before greatness. You're whenever you do anything, you suck at it at first. After a while, you don't suck that bad. And after a while, you're just okay. And then before you know it, you're like, I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yeah. Look no further
So
for this generation
yeah.
than the first time you picked up the sticks and played Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The first time you picked up that remote, you knew you weren't going to be any good, but you got good.
Blah, blah, blah.
You give this same person and tell
You
them
got
that, like,
toasted.
I want you to go into this home and present something. They're like, I could never do that.
Yeah.
No, you just can't do it right now because you
Right.
haven't practiced and learned and been trained. But
Well, it's so funny that you say that too. It brings up something else. You got to role play. You got to practice before you go in there. Otherwise, you're practicing on live meat.
yeah,
Right?
I picture a bunch of
Like,
people just drove
before
off the
you go
road.
hunting, don't you shoot at a target first? Don't you sight the rifle in? Isn't there some preparation? Right? Why would you do that? And those of you that don't have the education that you need, why would you go into a house and just blow it? Like, spend some time on your life. Like, you're only going to ever be worth about $30-$40 an hour with your hands. And you underestimate how much money you need to retire. Some people want to be a millionaire. $1 million ain't nothing anymore. Nothing.
Especially if you're retired and don't have an income.
No, you're retired. You don't have an income. You just sold your income by retiring. If you're lucky, you'll get 4% cash flow on $1 million. It's $40K a year. Congratulations. You're in poverty. And, you can't take anything out of that million. $1 million is worth half of what it was 4 years ago in 2017 right now because of all the money that's been poured into the economy. So good luck with that. You got $1 million now and you retire, it's going to be worth $500,000 4, 5, 6 years from now. So we underestimate the amount of money we need in order to live the life that we want. And our biggest problem is our ability to make income. You got to get your money right out there. You got to start focusing on multiplying your income, not adding $20,000 or $30,000 a year. I'm talking about X's. I'm talking about 2X, 3X, 4X, 10X, what you're making right now. And then learn how to live on 20% of it because the government's going to take 40. Learn how to live on 20%. Government takes 40. That means you put 40% of it away. And eventually it'll have enough cash flow to where you can stop. But otherwise, you guys are going to work until you're dead. Just telling you. Social Security ain't going to be there for you. Better get your money right now. Better get serious. Time is going. It's slipping away. Today is gone already. Money replenishes. Time doesn't. Invest in yourself. And every dollar that you have should go back into yourself until you're able to make $500,000 a year. That's my opinion right now in 2021 or 2022.
Which is, as you said in that training center yesterday, easy to do in a service truck.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that easy from where most of our techs are sitting. But before we get away from the role play thing that we were talking about, you said you have to do it. And like being at this company and our techs that are listening, I mean, it's a stretch even for them. We role play nonstop, and some guys love it. Nobody loves it. Some guys,
I do now, but I used to have a waterfall down my back and my armpits when I did it. Like I would shake. It was terrible.
Here, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, love it. Hate it less than others is probably the best term for it. But I know that I'd been at companies before when I was younger where there was nobody to role play with. Right. So you don't have a crew of people who are trying to get better. It's just I'm either the only employee or I'm the only one that would ever think to do something like this or listen to a podcast like this. And for that person, I would say, well, we'll take Stephen Murphy, one of our plumbers we have here. I was training him on upgrading emergency shutoff valves. And at that time, this here in my office in our studio, this doorway used to go into that half bathroom. And I took him into that bathroom and I said, I canceled his next call and I trained him on selling these valves. Well, he didn't have any. This was Thursday, and I believe it was a 3-day weekend coming, and he had nobody to role play with. So I told him he had to go sell his fiance on replacing all of the valves in their house at our book price. Like he was getting no discount. And if he could do that, if he could actually get her to say yes, he would come back Monday a monster. And then I gave him a little spiff package for everything he sold. And he came back an absolute animal. And the reason is she is more than anyone down in our training room or anyone that manages you or fellow techs, she is going to call you on your BS in ways that you can't even imagine. You're not going to get anything.
You sound scripted, right? You didn't say it right. Or,
sound robotic.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah, 100%. I have a gentleman named Ricky Garland in my mastermind, and he role plays with his kids. And one thing about the whole role playing thing, it's hard to do if you don't know what to say. Right? So what I would do is I would find a mastermind or I'd find a group like Lead Ninja that's got scripts for you, that's got a greeting, that's got a way to present the price, that's got payment plan closes, that tells you how to handle the top 3 or 4 or 5 objections. And then you take that printed information and you put it in your child or your wife's hands or your husband's hands, and you role play that stuff back and forth. And they let you know when you got a word wrong. If you get stuck, they give you the next word, right? Spend some of that time with your family and let them partake in the process of growing you, because at the end of the day, they're going to remember those times when you're making 2 or 3 or 10 times the money and they were involved with you. Right? Like that's one of the things I love about Brittany is that she wants to be with me when I go places, right? We get to make those memories together. Why not make the memories of role playing together with your family? Let your kids see you studying. When was the last time your kids saw you study something? Gentlemen, ladies out there. I mean, think about that the example that you're setting for them, that you're out of school, but you're still studying, you're still learning. You can create an example for them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and we role played for 45 minutes last night?
In the bedroom?
About 45 minutes.
No, we were on
all right, Nate, get the editing button out.
we were on the back patio, the back deck, and yes, tell them what we were doing.
We were working on some of the scripts for me, learning all the scripts that everybody else learns.
So last night we were creating word picture. We were creating pictures, kind of like we were showing you of how we sell the indoor air quality stuff. How I get the technicians to remember 30 negative side effects of breathing in the stuff, and then how to flip it and make it positive. So we were studying the time commitment. The time commitment goes, so here's how this is going to go. I'm going to start on your indoor system. Well, you know what? I'm going to let you do it. See if it stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Britt.
Yeah, let's go.
So here's how this is going to go. I'm going to start on your indoor system. And by the time you have to leave, I'll move to your outdoor system. When you get back, I should have everything together.
She lost it. She totally lost it. All right, you ready?
Put together.
Yeah, you're fired. Just kidding. So here's how this is going to go. So what we did, just a quick little thing. So I told her, I said, I want you to imagine yourself sitting in the Jaguar that you sold. And you look over to the right and there's somebody that wants to race you. And you nod at them and you go, So here's how this is going to go. And then you take off, right? And then you move. I want you to step left and look at this picture. So here's how this is going to go. There's a pair of on shoes that I wear all the time on top of an indoor system. I'm going to start on your indoor system.
I kept saying at.
Yeah, she kept saying at. So I was like, there's a pair of on shoes sitting on top of the indoor system. And then when you have to leave, it's Wednesday, and there's leaves on the ground, and I have to pick them up. I have to have them. When you have to leave, like I'm almost a leave fetish dude, right? I'm painting these pictures for. When you have to leave, you pick up the leaves. I'm going to go ahead and move to your outdoor system. You can see an outdoor system there. And then now there's a big lock on the wall with a key in it, and I want that lock. You can even lock up if you want.
I missed that part.
Right? And then I said there's a clock on somebody's back, and it's a really nice clock. So by the time you have to leave.
By the time you get back?
By the time you get back, that's right. Clock time on my back. By the time you get back.
I should have everything put together for you.
And there's a puzzle down there, right? Putting together a puzzle. So we spent 45 minutes like creating a new mental mapping thing for the greeting so that we can help people to memorize the greeting, kind of like we showed you how to memorize all the negative side effects.
All right, so go through that greeting like you have it memorized now.
Okay, so I open up the door, or you open up the door, and I say, I'm here to take care of your air conditioner. You point to the garage, I say, I normally start inside. You walk away, I say, just as a point of clarification, this call may be recorded for quality assurance, and my goal is to provide you with 5-star service today. Is that okay with you? They say yes. I say great. I'm here to do a $252 total system rejuvenation for $39.95. That means I'll be going through your system with a fine-tooth comb. Should I find any deficiencies, and I'm not saying that I will, would you like me to share them with you? They're going to say yes. That's a pretty big step. It's very important to get that out of the way up front. When they say yes, I say I usually start at the thermostat. Or I usually start, can we use your countertop even to start the paperwork? I'll take their iPad and I'll go, hey, is this all this information correct? And they're going to go, yeah. And I'll go, I usually start at the thermostat. They'll take me to the thermostat. I'll ask them, is this where you normally keep the temperature set? They say yes. May I turn the system down? I turn the system down. And I'll just listen for 10 to 20 seconds. It's my first opportunity to practice silence. Silence is one of my best friends as a salesperson, right? Silence and questions. If they ask me what I'm doing, I'm just going to put my finger up to my ear. And I'm going to control the silence. I'm not going to answer them right away. And I'm going to say I can tell a lot about a system by the way it sounds. Please take me to the outdoor system. They take me there, silently record the model and serial number. Please take me to the indoor system, silently record the model and serial number. And then I got to get a time commitment. Do you have any word? Are we working with any time restrictions today? They're going to say no. They say that all the time. Guys, you got to get a time commitment. If you don't get a time commitment, it's going to kick you in the butt every single time. How many times have you presented your findings and all of a sudden these people have got somewhere to go and it's like they're in a hurry to kick you out, right? So are we working with any time restrictions today? If they say no, you got to double check them and go, so you don't have anywhere to be later? That's when it's going to come out. And if they say, yeah, what time do you got to leave? What time are you going to get back? And this is the part Brittany and I were working on. So it was the last portion of it. And it was, so here's how this is going to go. I'm going to start in the indoor system. When you have to leave, I'll move to the outdoor system. You can even lock up if you want. By the time you get back, I should have everything together for you. So that's it. I mean, that's the whole greeting. And then at the end, there's those magic questions, but I'm not sure we should give those away on the podcast, should we?
Wasn't even going to ask.
All right. Yeah, they got to pay for those. So
that's great stuff, Gene. Appreciate the role play there.
Yeah.
Nice and smooth. Hey, well, kind of getting back to the technicians and you know how they can be improving with each other. What's your take on camaraderie training, right? So you had talked about looking for that mentor and somebody who's going to be able to climb the tree and say, here's where the road's going,
right?
Start chopping. What about kind of the group mentality, like improving each other by bouncing ideas off of each other, or even back to the jargon conversation, like, what'd you say? You said capacitor, right? Get that out. You know,
right.
that type of
well, holding each other accountable. I love that part. What I don't love is two guys that are making $100K a year, that want to make $400K a year, that think that working together is going to get them to $400K a year. You need to go find somebody who's already made $400K and ask them how they did it. And I don't know what you found, but guys, I found that the more successful people are, the more likely they are to share with me how they did it. So no man is an island, right? We ask for help not because we're weak, because we want to remain strong. So ask for help and don't stop until you get it. Find people that have already done it and ask them to help you. They'll be more than happy to. They get joy out of it. There's fulfillment in that.
The biggest compliment I can receive is somebody asking me to show them how to do something that they're telling me I do well.
Yeah.
It's much better than just somebody saying, hey, you're really good at this.
Yeah. Can I have help?
You really believe that compliment when it's on the back of, can you show me how to do it?
And we're prideful human beings, right? Pride cometh before the fall, though, right? So ask for help and don't stop until you get it. Like, there's no excuse.
Yeah. No
excuses whatsoever, especially with the internet out there. You got the whole world in your pocket. You can find out anything. And all the free stuff that's out there, for crying out loud, to take advantage of the free stuff.
Ridiculous, like podcasts out there.
Yeah, great podcasts. Amazing ones.
Right on.
The video podcasts are the best, though, right?
Oh, wow.
That was for you, Gil.
Yeah, we love you, Gilly.
Yeah, to think that, and I'm not, even forget this podcast, but that there are podcasts like this, like Masters of the Hustle or To the Point or HVAC Uncensored, that are having guests on there I had a 1 hour Brian Tracy tape, a little 1 hour snippet of the psychology of selling. And I just told this story on HVAC Uncensored yesterday, but my mentor gave me that tape and he said, take these sticky notes and mark a Roman numeral every time you listen to both sides one time. And when you've gone 100 times through it, bring it back and I'll give you another one.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And it was 21 great ways to become a sales superstar. It was just one of the hours in that book. And I came back and handed him the tape and all the sticky notes. And he pulls out what looks like a plastic briefcase and he pops like the hatchback car open. And it's, I don't know what looks like to me, 10 million cassette tapes of sales training. And I'm like, are you...
You're joking.
With you? Why would you do that to me? You know how sick I am of hearing Brian Tracy say like 15 sentences?
Yeah. But you could repeat the whole track,
absolutely. And,
word for word.
And like I was saying, I would just be presenting.
It became a part of who you were.
Things would slip out from that tape that I never even said in my life. But the thing that strikes me now is that, I had to go see him for a cassette tape back in the early 2000s. Whereas right now, our trucks all tie into our phones. I can find something you did 7 years ago on YouTube and play it and never have to hear it again. I could probably do nothing but listen to you speak for the rest of the time I'm in a truck. Unfortunately, probably without ever paying you, but
yeah. Well, no, that's not the case.
I'm
keeping a lot of the stuff hidden, right?
Okay.
There's I got 75 or so free videos out there right now, and we rotate some of them out occasionally. But there's several hundred hours worth of content in the mastermind, at least.
Yeah, and I didn't have that in the early 2000s. I don't think there was anybody doing it now who. No, man,
I was driving around. I went to Walgreens or CVS and bought one of those little tape decks. The ones that had two buttons that you could press to record back in the day that would pop up like that. Mm-hmm. And I would drive around holding that sucker to my ear. Like literally listening to tapes like that. Looked like a huge cell phone. I'm driving in my truck.
Yeah, and the trucks were much louder back then.
Oh my gosh, it was
the original
horrible.
AirPods right there.
Yeah, exactly. Hand pod.
Yeah, I remember when the iPod came about and I got to go home and find stuff and download it into iTunes and put it on this little thing. And it was like my life changed dramatically because I would be under a mobile home repiping it with one headphone and listening to Tom Hopkins or something like.
I loved Tom Hopkins back in the day, man. It was one of
my
my very first. I know.
Yeah, did you listen to that one?
No, I didn't. I just know that you told me that I did better than him, so I didn't need to listen to
Air XL
with you. No, I plan to, though. I do.
Brian, that's actually a really good point, though. But I think it's important to remember the ease of access does not mean the ease of application.
Absolutely.
Right. So in fact, I think it works so much in the other way.
Yeah.
Like all the information in the world gives you what's actually a documented phenomenon, choice fatigue.
Yeah.
Right. That's why restaurants that, have 1,000 pages. Like people just sit there and they can't make a decision. And that's why people don't do anything more than 3 options, 4 options, because you start getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 choices, and people are just like,
I got to think about it.
I can't, this is too much for me to do.
Yeah. Confused mind always says
No, or I don't know.
right.
Yeah. And so like the ease of information, while the world is literally at your fingertips, does not actually change the heart of the matter, which is, am I willing to actually look into it?
Well, and if it's free,
It's for me. Oh, wait, no.
but if it's free,
It's your, I don't know to finish that one, but I know what you always say is people who pay attention.
yeah. I mean, Russell Brunson says it perfectly. He says that over the last several years, he's had at least a dozen friends or family come to his funnel hacking live. It's a $25,000 event or something like that. I don't know, maybe it's not funnel hacking live. Maybe it's the Inner Circle or whatever it is, but he's given them this pass for the weekend for $25,000. And not one of the people he's ever given it to has ever created anything from it. However, the people that paid $25,000, they got like a 90+% success rate because they paid, and the more that they pay, the more they pay attention. Right. So I've found that over the years, as my prices have gone up, that people take it more seriously, they implement it harder, and they have even bigger, better, badder results.
Well, the concept of ROI is return on investment.
Right.
The investment is free.
Yeah.
What is the expected return? I mean, what's 2x of free, right?
Still free.
It did. I mean, it concerned us with filling a room full of people who weren't paying anything but their time to be in front of you when we were paying that bill, because I mean, they don't actually know how much it cost for each one of them to
You didn't tell them?
Not yet. I think you told them a couple times. They just have to do some quick math on how much you made an hour to be here, and they'll figure it out. But they didn't actually pay for this training. So we were somewhat concerned about it, but here at least we have so many levels of accountability, and we're gonna keep it going. So we're not too concerned. But yeah, those who do pay attention. I've been to, I don't know, probably hundreds of seminars and trainings at this point. And early in my career, when it was like my first Tom Hopkins 2-day boot camp in Scottsdale, Arizona, I had to convince my pregnant wife. We lived in an apartment with her parents when we first moved to Las Vegas. I made like $33,000 or $38,000 or something the year before in Detroit, and I had to convince her to let me put $3,000 on a credit card to go see Tom Hopkins for 2 days.
It's a month's worth of income.
And that is the hardest I've ever worked at, both memorizing and applying the tools and principles I learned.
Because it was a massive amount of money for you.
10% before tax, 10% of what I made the year before.
Yeah. You didn't have a choice but to make that work.
I had to get everything I could out of it. Now, smash cut to 4 years later, working for Ken Goodrich, and I'm making, I don't know, $100,000 a year. I probably didn't get as much out of it when it was that much less of my income still going to those things.
Yeah, yeah. As a percentage of your income, when it goes down, you take it less seriously.
It's a little bit less important.
Yeah, I know I've bought products for a few $1,000 before and never opened them.
Wow.
Information products and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see some people, and I know that's Brittany's job for you, which is to kind of survey the room and see who needs to be brought up to speed. But I do the same thing where I'm like, you've been staring at that number 2 pencil for a while there, bud. It's time. I'm going to send him a text message real quick.
Yeah.
So we can't straighten them out. Look forward.
Well, when I come into a room, I'm really only looking for 20-25% of the guys. I'm looking for the ones that I can see that fire in their eyes, because one person in your, what do we have, 80, 90 people in that room? Is a lot of people in that room.
Probably pushing 80.
Yeah. It only takes one person in there to pay for this training. So I'm looking for 16, 18 people in there to really grab a hold of this and take off, because when they do, they become the rabbit.
Right.
And everybody chases the rabbit. So they've got to prove that it can be done. They're starting to see that it can be memorized and that can be done. But when you start really popping $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 IAQ tickets, they're going to be like, holy cow, it actually worked. And then they'll start to buy in. But not all of them will. Never happens. You never get 100% buy-in, do you?
No, for sure.
So
Not sure we ever get 50.
But if we can put another $4, $5, $6 million on the board in IAQ, I mean, it'll be worth it.
Fine.
And water treatment.
Yeah. Enough about the IAQ stuff already.
All right.
Now, let's talk to some plumbers.
Well, Gene, you've certainly given us a lot of your time and energy this week, and we really, really appreciate that. I want to focus on here as we kind of wrap it up today, the concept of believing in yourself and believing in what is possible. You spoke earlier about the law of attraction in some of our trainings, so maybe you could start there and then talk to the people listening right now that they feel like they've achieved something that's special for them.
Sure.
And maybe they've lost sight of what is possible.
Yeah, I love to start the trainings out that way. And we started our last event out that way. You know, what is actually possible for you guys out there? So you don't know what you don't know, right? And unless you know what has been achieved out there, you won't be able to reach your greatness. So like years ago, you guys know Roger Bannister, right? In the 50s, the scientists and doctors said it was physically impossible for somebody to run a mile in under 4 minutes. They said that the runner's heart would explode inside of his chest before he could ever achieve that. And but Roger Bannister didn't get the memo, right? He actually ran the mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And the craziest thing is that since then, almost 600 people have done that. They say that Roger Bannister gave him permission to run the mile in less than 4 minutes. So I was sharing with some of your people that I have friends that work for air conditioning or plumbing or electrical contractors that make $1 million+ a year as salespeople. There are people that are selling $10 million a year or more. I've got friends selling $7 million. I've got somebody who works with me who sells $4.5 million in IAQ a year and another almost $3 million in equipment. So there are people out there. $1 million is nothing anymore. 3 million's the new million. It really is. So, and $100,000, you think that's a lot of money. It's not. It doesn't go far. And the more money you make, the more money they take, right? So you can make $1 million a year doing this, and you don't have to work 80 hours a week doing it, and you don't have to own your own company doing it. Matter of fact, you're probably going to make less money owning your own company and have 10 times the amount of stress. It's a fantasy. Like most of the people that are business owners out there right now shouldn't have done that. They're miserable, right? So those are some of the things that are possible, guys. And whether you say it's possible for you or not, you're right. You decided. You chose. But I know some of these guys, and they're not the brightest bulbs in the lamp.
Or the best communicators.
No, they're not. But they're humble. They listen. They're hungry. They work, right? And they're continuously learning. That's the combination. Be honest, be hungry, be humble, be learning, be relentless. Never stop. Only way to lose, only way to fail is to quit.
Love it.
Yeah, I saw a great YouTube video. I think it was Billy Cook posted it in the Team Believe Tri-Brand Facebook page. I think is it Eric Thomas? Is that motivational speaker?
I don't know.
Eric Thomas. He said they say that a crocodile is one of the most ferocious things on land, that it could kill a lion one-on-one. And he said, but I could kill a crocodile with my bare hands. You know how? Get him right after he eats.
Yeah.
Right after he's full. Close his mouth, hold him underwater till he drowns or whatever it is. Because that crocodile, once it's full, is satiated. It's got no fight in it. And that's a lot of us.
Sure.
We get a big win, a big check, a big score, a big year.
Take your foot off the gas.
No more accelerating. Now it's in neutral, and we never go any further, which is why the story of Brent Buckley going to you, Brent and I came up together. We started it, Plumbing, Heating, and Air, the same, within like a couple months of each other. And he was doing $4 million a year.
5.
He was at 5. He wanted to do 6.
You want to do 5.5.
And he came to you. This was 2018?
Something like that.
Yeah. And then Smash cut to 2020, he did 7 million.
Yeah.
But this guy is running 80% maintenance calls.
Yeah.
He's not a comfort advisor.
Nope. Maintenance calls suck too, don't they?
And he's doing not for me, buddy.
No, man, they are the best calls in the world.
Yeah. But he was doing 5 million a year. I don't know what percentage he's at, but you can assume that puts him around $500,000 of income a year.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say? I got to go spend some money to have a guy from Florida, literally across the country, train me to get a little bit better to hit my next goal.
He didn't spend a dime. He was in Orlando, and he called me up, and I said, hey, why don't we meet for lunch? I'll help you out. We'll talk. And we spent about an hour together for lunch, and it was some really, really simple stuff that he was overlooking. And it's so funny. I can take a guy who's making $300,000-$400,000 a year, doing $3-4 million a year, and I can add another $1 million with a 1 hour conversation if they're hungry and humble and they just take the action, right? So, and Brent was looking for another $500,000 a year. He got 1.5 million that year because he took the action, and all he needed was to be able to see what he couldn't see. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and that's why we have to have mentors. And we outgrow mentors too sometimes. I outgrew a mentor a few years back, and it was a painful separation, but it's what happens. If your mentors don't continue to grow, you outgrow them.
Yeah, Tiger Woods has a golf coach.
Yeah.
But he always changed golf coaches.
Yeah.
He never kept the same one forever.
Yeah. I mean, I have coaches. I've got a coach that I have to meet with tonight at 5:30 every single week. I'm meeting with her. She's looking inside my brain. Help me to get my stuff straight. Help me to work through any breakdowns that I'm dealing with in my life. You know, you need a coach. You need mentors. Find people who've been where you want to go and listen. Just do exactly what they say. Now, look, don't take advice from them if they're not in the place that you want to be in certain areas of their life, right? You don't want to take relationship with advice from somebody who's got a bad relationship, but if they make millions a year, they'll teach you how to do that, right? So get good mentors in the different areas of your life that you want to grow in. And yeah, get yourself a coach. Invest in yourself. Until you start putting money into yourself, it's going to be really hard to grow. It's going to take a lot of time. A lot of time. So like you were saying earlier, right?
Fast forward button.
Yeah, hit the fast forward button. You're either going to pay for growth with time or with money.
Yeah, you can, I don't know, you can walk 10 miles to see what's over there, or you can just buy a telescope.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a lot faster to buy.
I'll go to zero to get to the next level. I'll go in debt to get to the next level. Some people say debt's not good. Bull crap. Bull crap. It is if it gives me massive accelerant. It is if it takes my company and turns it from a $10 million company to a $20 million company. So.
Yeah, car debt's not good.
Right.
Retail
exactly.
debt, not good.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, debt that makes you money is a different story.
So bringing it in for a landing here, Gene, and speaking of coaching.
He does that really well, doesn't he?
You do. Thanks.
He brings it in for a landing every episode.
Every episode. We do have Brittany in the office.
Yeah.
With
Before
us in the
this,
studio.
before Maverick's chloroform wears off over here,
Yeah, Benadryl.
the Benadryl colada he drank through that bottle.
It was whiskey and honey when I was a kid.
Yeah, same. Grandpa's old cough medicine.
Yeah.
So we understand that you travel frequently or almost always with Gene, and the two of you break down the room together. Talk to us about that.
Sure, yeah. So while he's doing the training, I generally look around the room and find the guys or the women in there and find out what they're struggling with when they don't say it, but I can see things that maybe they don't even necessarily see themselves, and I can point them out, and I have Gene call them out. And
She reads their body language, their facial expressions, the way they're sitting, their different tics and stuff like that. She's very, very good profile, and she can see things that they're communicating non-verbally.
So would you say you're looking more for the people who are checked out or the people who are checked in?
Both.
yeah, I would definitely say both, but the ones that are more checked in, obviously you can get into them more than the ones who are not. So I would say for sure the ones who are checked in and that want it, those are the ones that typically you can get to the top much faster. But we've had some ones that were really shut down, shy, quiet, and flipped them over into something else. And even installers, different people that just hopped into the training for fun, I guess, right? And wasn't really what they were there for. And they turned out to be some of the top salespeople in the group.
So be honest, across the course of the training, how many hours has Brian been on his phone?
All of them.
Yeah, every second.
Sounds about right.
Dang it.
I'm looking more at the other guys, though. You guys do what you do, and I'm watching more of them to see who it is that we can really make an impact on and who we can help.
Gene, how has your relationship with Brittany improved you?
Massive support is what I can say that I've gotten from her. Belief in me that I don't even have in myself sometimes, right? Les Brown used to talk about how sometimes you have to believe in someone else's belief in you until your belief kicks in. And there have been times where I've been struggling mentally about whether or not I should make a move, and she tosses a credit card at me. Says, buy it, right? Invest in yourself. I spent $7,000 the other day for 30 minutes with somebody, a scaling expert.
Yeah, that's happened at Grant Cardone's office a couple times.
What's that? Yeah, I've been at Cardone's office, and they're like, this is 40 G's. And I'm like, she's just a do it. Invest in yourself. Are you not worth it? Right? So she helps to push me. And frankly, like, we're best friends. We're essentially the same person, just different gender. Love languages are the same. We just love being around each other. So it's been amazing to be able to have this relationship and also be able to work together and to enjoy it. So she pushes me. She supports me. She looks out for me. She's got my back. She's got my 6 and she's got my 12. So, and I need that because people don't really know the real Gene. Right? They don't know how soft I am. They don't know how easily I get emotional, and she looks out for me and she protects me, and so I really just want to help the people in this industry to be able to choose if they want to work less because they make more money, and I want them to be able to get home for dinner on time for their families. It's a big deal to me. This industry is tough on marriages, it's tough on relationships, and it's tough on human beings, like just our physical bodies. You go in your room there and look at your technicians, and how many of them are buff? Like, how many of them work out every day or 3 or 4 times a week? We run them 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and they got to run that hard just to make the amount of money that they need to make because they don't have the knowledge or the education throughout the industry mostly. Your guys are different. You're constantly investing in them, right? But you go to the average company, and we're a bunch of slobs, right? Todd Lyles wrote an article about it one time. It was called "Killing the Service Technician."
Who was that?
Todd Lyles.
Liles?
Yeah. It's called "Killing the Service Technician." There's another podcast for you.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah. Service Excellence Training is the name of the company. It's a competitor, but not really.
We won't have them trained. Don't worry.
We do different stuff. Well,
Brittany just threw her headphones.
I'm not gonna say anything about that. You know what you got here with us. At the end of the day, I don't even remember what I was talking about.
You were talking about me.
You? Well, she's phenomenal. She really is.
Tell me more.
She's.
You're not just saying that to be nice to me.
No, I'm not that nice. But no, it's best friends, supportive. Like, I feel like I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I could not do what I'm doing right now without her. Just no question. It's just too much.
So Brittany, as you are the frequent travel companion of Gene, and you're making your way across the country and getting into dozens of different shops in many states and different regions of the country, and you are a good profiler is how Gene described you.
Yeah.
What is it that you're seeing in the trades that concerns you? And what is it that you're seeing in the trades that excites you?
The thing that concerns me the most, I think, is the lack of, training that they actually do put in, the information that's given for free or paid by their boss. And they don't care enough about their job. You'd be surprised where we go, and people don't even know how many stages there are of different IAQ, what each of them does, right? It's like taking them back to school to teach them from square one, because they're not selling it because they don't know it. If they don't know it, they're not going to sell it. They're not going to produce for that company. So I think that's most concerning for me, is they don't know the products.
That was a good point, though. Is a lot of them don't know because they don't care. There are people in that training room with us here this week who I can go ask a question, HVAC techs. There's a few that I'll go ask a question about one of these indoor air quality packages. Won't be able to give me an answer a week from now.
Yeah.
They don't care. There is a percentage of techs out there who they're not interested in the next step.
I think they've given up on their dreams.
The dendrites
They
tell
don't
them
know
that
what's
they're not gonna hit 'em.
possible, right?
Yeah, well, or it's possible for them. They don't believe enough in themselves. Look, life is tough. It'll beat you up. And our personal lives, whether we want them to or not, carry over into our work lives.
Oh yeah, like every time we leave training, we're talking about all the guys in the room and what happened, and we break down, the day and what went on. And like what excites me for that is to see like the guys in the room. The one guy that got up, I think it was yesterday, doing the mental mapping exercise, and he killed it. Like he was able to point out every single one after hearing it once. And that is so exciting to see what their future is going to hold for them, and what becomes possible that they didn't know. And you almost see a light bulb turn on for some of these guys. And that's why we do what we do, for the results. And it is so exciting to see that. And that's what we talk about. We talk about our wins, and
it's generational transformation.
Yeah.
That's the possibility that we're standing for.
We're not helping one person, right? We're helping that whole family. So there could be a wife, there could be 2, 3, 4, 6 kids like we have, they're making a transformation on families, not just technicians, So that's what excites me the most about what we do.
Absolutely.
It is cool because as I sit and talk about Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins, one day somebody from that room will sit here and talk about Gene and Brittany, and I can wholeheartedly attest to the fact that they not only are very good friends, but are a tag team, because every break I come to my office and fire off some emails and stuff, and I look out my office window and they're standing there talking. They go out, they game up on what happened the previous couple hours. They spend 10 minutes, they go back in, and then just get right back at it. It's every single break.
Yep.
The only one that didn't was when she wasn't here today, and then
Gene's training was terrible.
Yeah.
No, and then I saw a picture on Facebook story of Gene out there talking to one of our electricians, Jacob.
Yeah.
I took that one yesterday.
Oh, was that yesterday?
It's kind of hard to get out of your training room. It really is for the breaks.
Oh, yeah.
When I say break, I try to make a beeline so that I can go get a breath and try to recharge for a minute and clear my head. But it's one guy after another guy after another guy that are barricading me in there. I can't get out of the room, which is
maybe we can open that warehouse door.
super flattering and humble. And I love the opportunity to be that contribution. So I'm just going to be really tired by the time I leave here. That's all.
It's life-changing for us too when we leave, right? There's things that we learn everywhere we go. Each business is different. Their values are different, what they hold. So
we get super attached.
Yeah, we do. And we learn stuff everywhere we go just as much as the next person. And that's part of our journey as well.
I fall in love with the companies that I go to and the people. And I get really, really sad because I don't know if I'm ever going to see them again. We leave it all on the mat, as my old wrestling coach used to say. He said, Gene, when you go out there, you got to leave it all on the mat. You don't want to wake up tomorrow and go, I didn't put my full effort in, right? So when we go out someplace, we leave it all on the mat, and that way there's no regrets, right? Whatever happens, happens. But ordinarily, there's massive explosions in the companies, and people are getting their money back in 30 days or less, and we're getting phone calls from technician after technician. We've got a text thread going right now from the event this past weekend, and it's only got 7 people on that text thread, but it's just they're popping off sales left and right, going, this is amazing, the process is incredible, we're totally in. I pray for your guys that they commit to the process, because if they do, not only will this company have massive benefits, but their families for the rest of their lives will reap the rewards. So
That's great.
thank you
Gene.
for what you guys do. I appreciate the podcast that you put together. I appreciate you getting the information out to the people that need it, people that are not going to be able to be in an organization like yours. Like, it's life-changing for people. It helps, and it makes a difference. So please keep doing what you're doing.
Right on. Likewise,
that.
back to you. And if people are interested in learning more about the services you provide or getting in touch with you, where's the best place to do that at?
leadninjasystem.com. leadninjasystem.com. You can also catch us on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever. All those are. You can Google Gene Slade. I'll come up first.
Or hit us up and we'll put you through, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, hit these guys up and have them refer you to me so that there's some sort of something that I owe them, right?
Yeah, or have them
that?
have them check their calendar first.
Nate, pause it.
Yeah.
All right, final question for the two of you. As you have, as you've been in this industry, Gene, you've been in the industry for decades, and specifically you've been in the trade industry for
32 years.
almost the training industry
Oh.
for almost a decade as well, right? 7 years, 8
I've
years.
been training since 2005.
And Brittany, you know, you've certainly been around this for a long enough time, and you've been in the trades yourself as well.
Yeah.
As you take all of that in and you look back as to where the industry has been and where we are at today, and you want to speak into the future about the people who are out there looking on the outside, looking in, saying, how do I get into this thing, or is this worth it? Like, should I step into the trades? You know, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. What would the two of you say to like those people considering?
Well, I think COVID taught us a lot, right? That I don't think the industry is going to go anywhere, but it's going to be what will be next, what will be new. You know, I mean, everything has changed so much in the past decade alone, even with the internet and everything else. So what new incorporations, what do we have to learn to excel that, and for each company to stay on top everywhere we go, because things are so new and happening so fast. But I see with COVID, it's not going to go anywhere. We are relevant, especially in Florida.
Yeah, and I would tell people that are on the outside looking in that are interested in the trades to find the top 3 companies in your city that charge the most money for that specific trade, because the likelihood that they're going to be able to invest in training and invest in you, and that it's going to have a good culture and everything, is going to be much greater, right? And I would say we need more women in the trades. I really think that that women there's the possibility that they could kick some men's butts on the communication side of it. They're a little bit more sensitive to feelings and to emotions and vibrations and things like that from clients. So I would say jump in both feet. Find good companies, though. I think 1 Hour and Benjamin Franklin and Sparky's are great companies to work for. Find the good companies that are charging a lot of money, and just jump in. Like, you can make as much money as you've ever dreamed of in the trades, and there's a lot of fulfillment. I mean, you make a decent amount of money, and then a customer gives you a thank you and some cookies to go home, right? Like the gratitude that they show you when you go out and you help them is pretty significant. So they always say, if you cater to the classes, you'll live with the masses. And if you cater to the masses, you live with the classes, or you have the opportunity at least, right? Everybody buys toilet paper, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has got heating and air conditioning. It's not going away. We've got massive shortages, huge opportunities for people who are sharp and who've got will. Will is what it is. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are either unwilling or unable to do. And it's usually they're just not willing. We've all got the talent to be successful. Do you have the drive? Do you have the stickability? Remember I said the only way to fail is to quit? I wanted to quit many times in my life. Haven't you guys?
Yep.
I've wanted to quit my life several times, right? But you can't quit. You got to keep going. And that's the way to make sure you don't fail. And if you fail forward. That's not a failure, right? What does Les Brown say? If you get knocked down, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up, he says. So.
Awesome. Well, we'll leave it there. Gene and Brittany, thank you so much for joining us on
And
the
Maverick.
podcast.
Yeah.
And Maverick. Hey,
Never
what's
woke up
buddy?
for us.
No.
Very disrespectful already.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time somebody slept through our podcast.
No, sir. Nor the last.
Thank you so much for being with us and extending a little bit extra of your time with us and our listeners on the show.
It's a pleasure, Nate.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed today's show. It was great having Gene with us here, actually in the office, and that's such a privilege for us. I know our guys and gals in the trades here in our business have really been enjoying his training, and we're looking for so much more to start actually putting those things into application and seeing the fruit of that labor. We hope you enjoyed this little preview of what Gene is all about, and there is so much more there, and you can certainly check him out at his website and other social media platforms. As is our goal with every program that we do, we're looking for ways to make you better. We're looking for ways to improve the current you, to make a better version of you tomorrow. And Gene brought so many good nuggets and pieces of change to apply to your lives. Anything from updating the way that you're talking and communicating to help the client understand, to believing in yourself and believing that something that you never dreamed of is actually possible, and better yet, is currently being done by many people already. That type of belief, that type of determination, that type of I'm not going to stop till I get it is what we're all about here at the Waste No Day podcast. And we hope that you took something from this podcast and you're going to apply it to your life, even right now. Start today. Don't wait. Don't say, yeah, I'll get back to that later. Start today. Take something tangible from what we talked about today and actually put it into your life and make it happen. And we encourage you, as we always do every week, to find a way to wake up each morning and choose to waste no day.